Women who have been the so-called dead fish in bed. What's something you wish your partner had understood? I want to be clear that I mean this question as respectfully as possible. There's no judgment whatsoever. I wish they had cared about enthusiastic consent. It was a very toxic and abusive situation where I didn't want to be having sex and they knew it. If they wanted to use my body for their masturbation and weren't willing to accept that I didn't want sex, then they could do all the work. I wasn't participating because I didn't want to be there. I submitted to it under protest because not doing so meant more abuse. Thankfully, I am many years away from that partner now and in an amazing relationship with someone who absolutely understands and respects the need for enthusiastic consent. Me. When I am understood, heard, enjoyed, I have a high sex drive and desire for my partner. When I'm not understood, not feeling heard, and not treated as a partner, all dead fish all night, every night. Anytime I've done that, it was because I didn't want to have sex. Usually it's because my partner has bugged me into having sex, and I'm really not into it. It used to happen when I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. Especially towards the end. The idea of having sex with him repulsed me, because I genuinely hated him but didn't know how to get out. And giving in and having sex was easier than having an argument about why we weren't having sex. That I clearly and obviously didn't want to do it and only did so because I felt I had no choice, felt pressured or coerced, etc. But bottom line, I didn't want it. He should have stopped and picked up on that and not just used my body as a flashlight and then complain about how bad I was in bed. It's a sign of selfishness at best and sadism at worst, to use someone who clearly isn't super into it. Edit. Would also like men to know that when they complain about this they are outing themselves as rapists at worst and selfish bad lovers at best. The times have been a dead fish, were what I file away in my head as gray area experiences. The times where I didn't want to have sex but he didn't care about my consent, or the fact that I said no repeatedly but he did it anyway, or the fact that I felt like if I just had the sex, I'd have a greater chance of leaving the experience alive and could go home, shower and try to forget all about it. Those were the times I lay there and took it while I zoned out of my body and thought of happier things. That I had no desire to fuck, but didn't want to have a 2H argument about the why not either. That I am autistic, and am still awkward about sex. On top of that I am chronically ill and can't always perform well within means of being decent at sex. It hurt like hell when my hip would sublux when I get on top, but I am still expected to perform. It felt horrible to be called a flat board, which is essentially the same thing as dead fish. He knew about my health but refused to understand. I have vaginismus, and back when I didn't know what the term meant, I would have a lot of pain with sex. Except my doctor told me it was normal to have pain when you're a virgin or the first few times after. So I gritted my teeth through the pain and my whole body would freeze up to deal with it. I was called a dead fish because of that. Years later, as I'm coming to terms with my vaginismus and treating it through PT, that term keeps haunting me. I suffered through so much pain and trauma, and my so-called partners didn't even realize my pain, and instead called me a dead fish. How ironic is that? With my first boyfriend, who was also a virgin, I simply had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't watched porn or anything, so I did think that you were supposed to just lay there. Yes, I'd seen sex scenes in movies, but I don't know why it didn't click with me that I wasn't supposed to just lay there. Nerves, I guess? I've never been called a dead fish, but I did fall asleep on a partner right in the middle of sex once and came close to it a couple of other times. Quite simply, because he was shit. Never been an issue with anyone else, before or since. I think that says it all really. I slept a couple of times with a man who clearly didn't give a shit about my pleasure, and I turned into a dead fish. Mainly because whatever I did, I got no response or confirmation on whatever I did was pleasing. I'm a pleaser and want to make the man feel good, but whatever I did, it seemed wrong. If I touched him he removed my hands, if I tried to kiss him he would turn his head away. I wanted to give him a blow job, but he said he didn't need that from me. I thought he cared about my pleasure, because he really wanted me to squirt. I quickly realized that he didn't care about me enjoying myself, but he wanted to be the guy who made a woman squirt. I didn't squirt and I didn't cum, and to make him stop, I had to fake an orgasm. I told him, this is not gonna work, let's just have sex instead. But he refused to stop, he had to make me squirt, cum. We slept one more time together after that, and it was just as bad. Why did I sleep with him in the first place? He seemed like an experienced guy. I was attracted to him, not so much after this experience, and he were crazy about me before and after we slept together. I ended things quickly. It was just sex, not a relationship, and we were not in love. Bad sexual chemistry and not the same preferences. No wonder it turned out bad. I was young and unexperienced, and if I end up in bed with a guy like this again, I will just say, nope, this doesn't work, and end the whole thing. Being a dead fish and faking an orgasm doesn't do it for me. Removed. My ex had to have sex every single night. I don't enjoy that, but I went along with it at first because I thought I had to. When I eventually gained a little self-confidence, I stopped, and that's when he started cheating and using my computer to watch porn while I was at work. There's a lot that goes into a satisfying sexual experience. Sometimes bracing and holding the position is the best thing and is clearly not being a dead fish. If they can't realize that they aren't worth my sex. That birth control fucked with my libido for so long until I found one that was right for me. I wasn't enjoying it at the time, but after so many incidents of them punching a wall or acting like they hated me, of course I would give in, seeing that they are my first love. That I would have loved to get on top if their first reaction wasn't to tell me to, put your shirt back on please, and not look at the rather small amount of flab I have on my stomach. That I can't really be enthusiastic when you last for literal fucking hours, refuse to purchase lube, and put me into positions that people train their body for via weeks, months, years of stretching. Sorry, my legs can't go behind my head.